Meet Mary. On the outside, she's the picture of a faithful Christian. She's at church every Sunday. Her Bible is highlighted in 3 different colors, and she always has a polite smile for the grocery clerk. But on Tuesday nights, when the apartment is silent and the blue light of her phone is the only thing cutting through the dark, Mary feels like she's drowning. She's 28, living in a studio apartment with a leaky faucet, and working a job that barely covers her tithing and her rent. She chose the narrow path 3 years ago, but lately, that path feels less like a journey and more like a treadmill. She's working hard but isn't going anywhere. One evening, as Mary sat on her worn-out sofa scrolling, she saw Jennifer, a girl who used to mock Mary's faith in college, posing in front of a floor-to-ceiling window overlooking the city. Jennifer had just been promoted to senior director. Mary knew exactly how Jennifer got there. She had watched her step on colleagues and take credit for projects she never touched, but still succeeded anyways. Then there was Mike. He'd started a logistics company and just bought a car that costs more than Mary's entire degree. Mary felt a sting in her chest every time she hit like on their posts. It wasn't just, I want that car. It was, Lord, I have been honest. I have been pure. I have been faithful. Why does the world reward the liars while I'm struggling to buy eggs? But the silence of God felt like a heavy, cold blanket. The breaking point came on a miserable, gray Thursday. Mary's worn-out car had finally given up the ghost in the middle of the highway. After paying for a tow she couldn't afford, frustrated she stood at the bus stop. Suddenly, a massive, sleek black SUV pulled up, its tires sending a wave of dirty street water over Mary's shoes. The window glided down. It was Sarah. Sarah looked like she had stepped out of a magazine. Pristine hair, glowing skin, and a watch that cost more than what Mary made in a year. Mary? Oh my gosh, girl, you look wet. Sarah laughed, but her eyes held a pity that felt like a slap. Listen, you're too smart to be standing in the rain. My boyfriend runs a private equity firm. We need someone who knows how to keep their mouth shut and handle some sensitive paperwork. No experience needed. The starting pay is triple what you're making now. Mary knew what she was offering wasn't honest, so she politely declined. Sarah handed her a card and asked her to think about it. As the SUV sped away, Mary stood in the puddles, feeling like a fool. She felt like she was failing at life because she was trying to succeed at a faith that wasn't paying the bills. A week later, the weight became too much. Another bill arrived, and Mary's resolve finally cracked. She picked her phone and called the number Sarah gave her. She told herself, maybe this is God's way of providing. Even Joseph worked for Egyptians. Maybe this is my way out. Soon after she arrived at a high-end hotel lobby for the interview, the air smelled like expensive cologne and success. There she met a man named Marcus, sharp suit, cold eyes. He pushed a thick contract across the marble table. All we need is your signature on these compliance forms, he said, leaning back. We do things a little differently here, but the bonus hits your account by Friday. Mary picked up the gold-plated pen. Her hand was shaking so violently she had to grip the table. Her heart was hammering against her ribs, a sickening, frantic rhythm. She was seconds away from signing her integrity away. Suddenly, her phone buzzed on the table. It was a video call from Sister Grace. Sister Grace was the woman who had led Mary to Christ. A woman who lived in a small house in the suburbs preaching the gospel but walked with a peace that kings would envy. Mary tried to ignore it, but the phone rang again, and again. On the third ring, Marcus cleared his throat, looking annoyed. You should probably take that, he said, a bit irritated. Mary stepped into the hallway and answered. The moment Sister Grace's face appeared, Mary's mask shattered. Mary, Sister Grace said, her voice piercing through the noise of the lobby. I don't know where you are or what you're doing, but the Holy Spirit told me to stop everything and pray for you. He told me to tell you, do not sell your birthright for a bowl of soup. Whatever they are offering you is a cage, not a key. Mary looked back at the marble lobby, then at Sister Grace's eyes. She didn't go back in. She left the pen on the floor, ran out into the street, and didn't stop until she reached the park where she used to pray. She called Sister Grace back and spent 2 hours sobbing, confessing how behind she felt, how jealous she was, and how much she hated the narrow path right now. Sister Grace waited for the silence, then asked one question. Mary, when was the last time you thanked God for the things he didn't let happen to you? Mary paused. Sister Grace continued, you're so busy looking at Sarah's SUV that you didn't notice that your 15-year-old car has never had a major accident. You're so focused on Jennifer's apartment that you forgot God provided a landlord who didn't raise your rent when you lost your overtime hours. You feel left behind by the world, but you've been perfectly carried by mercy. You've been so busy mourning the life you don't have that you've walked right past the miracles you do have. God hasn't been holding you back, Mary. He's been holding you close. He didn't let you have the glitter, because he knew it would burn your hands. As Sister Grace spoke, it was like a scale fell from Mary's eyes. She felt a wave of shame, but it was quickly washed away by a flood of gratitude. She realized she wasn't poor. She was pampered by a father who was more interested in her safety than her status. She started to weep. Not because she was sad, but because she finally saw how much she was loved. 3 months later, the glitter finally peeled off. Mary was at that same park when she saw Sarah. But there was no SUV, no designer bag. Sarah was sitting on a bench, her face bruised and her eyes red. Sarah confessed that her boyfriend wasn't a businessman. He was a money launderer. The firm was raided, her boyfriend was in jail, and she was being questioned by the police. Sarah wasn't just broke. She was terrified, facing years of legal battles. Sarah looked at Mary's simple life, her bus pass, her small apartment, her calm spirit, and whispered, "I'd give every dime I ever stole just to have one night of the sleep you have." In that moment, Mary didn't feel superior. She felt a deep, aching gratitude. She realized that the boring life she had been complaining about was actually a life of safety, peace, and clean hands. She finally understood that all that glitters isn't gold. Some of it is just burning. Mary realized then that she wasn't behind at all. She was building on the rock. It was slower. It was harder. But it was safe. If you're watching this and you feel like you're wasting your time being faithful, look again. Joseph was behind in a prison, but God was using the delay to keep him safe until the throne was ready. David was behind in a cave, but God was using the isolation to build a heart that could lead a nation. He isn't late, he's intentional. Your foundation is deep, and that's why it's taking time. When the storm hits, and it will hit, you'll be the only one still standing. Today, Mary still takes the bus sometimes. But she doesn't look at the SUV drivers with envy anymore. She looks at them with intercession. She realized that God's slow is still faster than the world's fast, because God's way actually leads to a destination worth reaching.